not going to pretend. I'm not going to be fake.
I'm going to be me.
I'm going to be me. And that's the beauty. And if you are working a 9 to 5, it doesn't mean you can't be you.
That's right.
But he's talking about how they want to silence him.
Yep. Yep.
You know, being true to self.
That's right.
Being true to who you are takes courage.
Yes, it does. You don't always have to fit in somebody's mold. You know, step outside of that comfort zone. Step outside of yourself and do things in a way that will bring about change. So it's somewhat, in a way, he embraces the name anarchy, which will be considered something bad, you know, outlaws and disturbia kind of thing. But he embraces the title and flip it in a positive way. I think that's amazing.
Whew. Sorry, I checked out. I saw our friend Hunter Anderson. Heart emojis next. Hey, Hunter. Hey, Jameson. Hey, John.
We are glad you guys are here. Invite somebody with you now. Share this live stream with somebody else.
Yes. Mike and the Dad Crosby. There's my friend.
There he is.
It's so funny how I feel like I have friendships with some of you just because of how we have the back and forth, the comments. Everyone. So it's really fun.
I'm sorry, I haven't even seen Testimistic here yet.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Trying to Kill Me is actually what we're going to
do at the end.
Be reacting to at the end of this one.
Yeah.
I'm ready to hear that. I heard a little bit of it. Because I tried to just hear some of the words, but I only, like, as soon as I came in from being out of town, I played it, and I was just trying to get myself together down here. So I didn't get to really hear it. So I'm excited for that.
So, guys, are you ready for part 2? Because it only gets better from here. So this is the documentary that I spoke to you guys about. Okay. Go ask some. Yeah. So this is the documentary that we were talking about. Okay, by KBgoeslive. Please go show him some love because this man putting some nice work in here. It's not too long, about 34 minutes. So we're gonna try to watch this, you know, and pause and comments and share some thoughts as well. And I'm hoping we can grow and get to know Tom MacDonald in a whole different way. For us, this might be new. But for some of you, you've probably been seeing things like that and you understand the whole story because you watched him and you spoke to him and you know his life. So it's a different, you know. So for us, we are about to sit down and learn. And of course, this documentary doesn't tell you the whole story, guys. We know that. So we're just getting bits and pieces of, you know, how it all happened and everything from the very beginning. Mike Todd and Crosby here.
Hey, Mike. Friends in high places only, right?
Love that.
You are such a jokester. I want to hang out with you. Where do you live again?
That's the kind of guy I like.
Friends in low places and middle places and high places, grin.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the super chat.
That's right. By the way, guys, if any of you want to moderate the chat room, let me know. I can give you access to do all that. So I give you charge of moderating the chat room, you know, so keep things flowing correctly here. So let's dive right into this documentary, guys.
Real quick. Yes, Joseph, who was born on Christmas Day. Hunter, thank you for reminding me. Hi, Joseph. Hi, everybody. I didn't forget him. I just couldn't recall his name, and I didn't want to ask. That's the honest truth. I felt bad. I'm like, I was going to peek at it and figure it out and then call him out. So, hi, Hunter, Joseph, Jameson, and John. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Mike Todd from Minnesota. Yeah, that's where he's from.
Who's that? Minnesota. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, great.
We're coming to Minnesota.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, guys. Are we ready?
Are we ready?
Let's
spend some time together watching and learning about Mr. Tom MacDonald.
I'm excited for this because I hear what you guys comment and say, but to really actually have a documentary, I know it's going to be moving and touching. So
yeah. So we're going to dive into his life here. All right. Let's do this.
You know, it's common for musicians to release politically charged songs these days, but you've probably never heard one quite like this before.
Already, guys.
What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's KB and we locked in. Now let's jump into it. Today, we're going to be speaking about a Canadian rapper named Tom MacDonald. We're going to talk about where he came from, how he blew up, and what makes him so controversial.
there's this performative wokeness that's going on in society today. And I think it was just important to point some fingers at the hypocrisy and the way that the world is changing, not for the better.
Tom MacDonald, real name Thomas MacDonald, was born on September 21st, 1988, in a small Canadian town named Mission, which is part of British Columbia, right outside of Vancouver. Unlike many of the rappers that are popular these days, Tom didn't grow up impoverished or with parents that were at odds with each other. Instead, Tom would spend the first 13 years of his life in the suburban town of Mission with a loving family and everything he needed. So it's easy to say that Tom had a regular childhood. Still, despite not being from the hood, Tom would fall in love with rap music. To be clear though, Tom didn't want to be a rapper growing up. He just found a love for the genre after his dad took him to a pawn shop, gave him $5, and told him he could buy anything he wanted. After searching around for an item, Tom would stumble across a Tupac CD, All Eyes on Me, which he would use the $5 to buy. After popping it into his portable CD player, Tom began to fall in love with the genre that would eventually change his life. Tom was aware of the disconnect Tupac's music had with his own life, but still jammed it anyways. Tom said he would write poems with the hip-hop style cadence to help bridge the gap between his life and the music he was listening to, but still had no intentions of becoming a rapper. When Tom was 13 years old, him and his family would leave the small town of Mission and relocate to Edmonton, Alberta. This is where Tom and his family would first start experiencing some form of hardship, as Tom's dad would struggle to hold down a job. As a result, Tom would see himself attending almost a dozen different schools over the next 6 years, but don't be confused. Tom and his family were still close and they were still making it. Just because his dad didn't hold down a single job doesn't mean he wasn't making money. Tom's dad was a hustler of sorts, a jack of all trades, getting paid for multiple odd jobs like carpentry, factory work, and he even worked in a scrapyard at one point. The whole time Tom was growing up, his parents were always supportive, no matter what Tom wanted to do.
I have a really, really supportive family, and everybody's always in my corner. And they support me pretty wholeheartedly no matter what I choose to do, and I'm super duper fortunate. And I hate the word blessed, #blessed, but I am super fortunate and super blessed to have a family that is always in my corner, and they're always watching my back, and they're always supporting me no matter what. I think that's the greatest advantage that I have in life, is that I have a family that really gives a shit and loves me, and is really cool with everything that I want to do. It's weird, like, I'm the total black sheep of my family. Like, I'm the only guy with face tattoos and crazy hair, and for sure. And they all still love me and support me and hold me down and encourage me. I hope most of your guys' families would do the same for you, man. It's such an amazing support system to be able to lean on in life.
Wow.
I had to pause there.
Yeah.
Because I think we all have that family member who's a little different, right? Or that family member who goes against the grain or who thinks outside of the box.
Yep.
And I love that Tom MacDonald doesn't just say it for himself, but I love that he is for the people.
That's right.
He's saying, I hope you guys have that same. And more than that, I hope we're functioning the same way.
Yeah.
Like, do we love all of our family members unconditionally despite what it is that they bring to the table, whether it goes with our ideas or thought process or not? It's one thing when it's like straight up evil or wickedness, right?
Yes,
that you have to fight against that. But it's another thing when they're just different. Sorry, I'm spitting. But it's another thing when they're just different.
That's right.
And that's what he understands. And then recognizing it. Sometimes people who go left know that they have a support system, but they refuse to recognize it because they want to identify, like with a Tupac, so much so that they almost create this alternate lifestyle that they didn't actually have to live.
This alter ego kind of thing.
Yeah, like they create this in their head, this other narrative for their own life where it's just not true. So I appreciate that he understands, he recognizes, and he make sure that everybody knows.
That's right.
It wasn't, he didn't focus on when his dad had trials and tribulations and say, this is what turned me. No, he understands and he recognizes the beauty and importance of a supportive family and wants to share that with his fan base.
Such an important thing to have. A supportive family is key. My question is now, how do you make it if you don't have a supportive family, as Tom did? You know, like, it's not always easy to live your life and trying to live out your dreams without a supportive family. Yeah. It's not always easy, but you got to be a go-getter. You got to really see the vision for itself. And sometimes you might not have this type of family members who are standing for you. Well, on the flip side, maybe you are the father and the mother who has a son that you can say,
just different.
I don't agree with the way you live. You're like the black sheep of the family.
Learning how to accept.
You still got to embrace and love that son. You don't have to you don't have to love the things he's doing wrong. Yes, you need to have those hard felt face-to-face conversation with him. But at the end of the day, don't destroy and kill his dreams in the process because he's not living the life that you think he should be living.
Yeah. So are we being what Tom MacDonald is talking about here?
Yeah.
Are we accepting our children, our parents? We don't know their background. We don't know what people have went through. We don't know what our children are experiencing now. So many times, what do we say to our kids? You're not even an adult yet. You don't even know what you're going through. You haven't even experienced life yet.
Yeah.
But they are experiencing life right now.
That's right.
In their different stages and phases. They are experiencing life right now. We cannot negate what they're experiencing, their worldview, their perspective, and what their emotions are.
Yes, right.
And it's so important to embrace and love our family. I worked for a company, Nurse Family Partnership, and that really taught me how to love my family, to love my children and accept them. I remember, because my oldest, he's a bit of a hard head, right? He's a wild child. That's my baby, Isaiah, Gabriel. I love you so much. But so I would say little comments because he was a kid who would get bored at school, super intelligent. So he would get bored and like act out, right? And just like do stuff because he was done with his work. He had made the grades and he's like, Mom, I'm making the grades. Why do I have to, like, it's not a big deal that I have behaviors or do stuff like that. Yeah. And he just needed to be embraced in his different way of thinking. He had great insight. He had big thought processes and all these different things. And I wasn't embracing him. And I would say, oh, yeah, I know it's my Isaiah. And I remember my supervisor, Kathy Bain, would say, why do you say that? Like, that's good that he thinks that way. It's good. Yeah. And she just helped me to see from a different lens.
They have their own way of
thinking. Yeah. And she taught me how to, like, embrace my son and accept him for the beauty of what he brings to the table.
That's right.
And all my kids are totally different. And that's just what we have to learn to do. We don't compare. You don't contrast your kids. And when I grew up, I was compared a lot with my sister, especially on my dad's side of the family. Like, we were all compared. Oh, you have straight A's. Oh, you got pregnant when you were 18. Or you this, or you that, or you got big. So all the comparisons and never really being embraced and loved. So then I carried that into how I reared my kids. Yeah. So it was so beautiful. And it was like 2017 when I started working for that job. And that's when my 4-year-old was just born in September of 2017, and it was 2018. I started that job on like January 2nd, so 2018. And so that's how recent it was that I really learned the art of love and the art of acceptance.
Yeah, so important.
So important. Yeah. And so we have to see that our children might be different. Siblings might be different. Yeah. Just learn how to love and embrace and accept. Right. And you have to start to deal with yourself when you catch yourself, because sometimes we catch ourselves and we just brush it off. Like, well, it is what it is. It happened. Move forward. And then we just try to be nice. Yeah. Or try to just like have a different, like try to just be calm then if we stepped out of what we have realized is a bad character. Yeah. And then we have to kind of deal with ourselves. That's right. So now, and this is what Tom's all about. Self-reflection, dealing with ourselves. Yeah. So I just think that's awesome. We have to really.
By the way, guys, I want to acknowledge you in the chat. They caught you live this content. Okay, what is on YouTube? You should be promoting. Love you all. Okay.
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey, Last King.
Hey, Fred. Last King in Norway.
There he is again.
Hey, you.
Good to see you.
Hi, Margaret.
I like what Shalea say here. The black sheep may become greatness. Support their dreams. Amen.
And what makes a sheep a black sheep? Yeah. Seriously, this is what society has created, this mold. And this is exactly what Tom MacDonald's going against. He's a black sheep because of his face tattoos, because that's not considered the American way. That's not considered the right way. I don't think it's not even an American thing. It's not considered what the world would like to see as a face of representation of goodness and righteousness and truth.
Yeah.
No, we have created these boxes, and it's time to break them down.
It's time.
Who says what a black sheep is versus another? Like, who says that?
Right.
Who gets to make that decision?
Part of the issue is like we like to judge people from the outward appearance.
Yeah.
But instead, we need to spend more time looking at the heart. You know, so doing it God's way.
All
it's
right.
always the best way.
Here we go, guys. I waited 4 minutes to talk. Somebody give me a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, girl. You were really patient with that one, and there was so much being said.
In a way, Tom's parents were really cultivating him in a way that would allow him to be successful in life, no matter what. The small struggles they experienced would end when Tom's dad landed a job as a dispute resolution specialist negotiating contracts in Fort McMurray. Fort McMurray is a luxurious area of Canada that has contributed significantly to the Canadian petroleum industry, so landing a job here meant bringing in some fresh hundreds every week for the family. Tom's mom also contributed to the family's lifestyle, working as a teller for the Bank of Montreal. Just like Tom's dad, Tom's mom was kind of a hustler, eventually working her way into a branch manager position with the bank.
Sorry, but I love that the persistence that his parents showed him. Sometimes we can get, we can sit back and take a back seat. We have to understand the value of hard work ethic, and we have to teach that to our kids. Sometimes when our kids when we have gone through stuff, we don't want our kids to go through it. So we unintentionally make them have a poor work ethic and a poor understanding of the value of hard work and pushing.
That's right.
Pushing through stuff, and that's what I love what I'm hearing is that Tom's parents understood the value of pushing, and then you see it in Tom's life now.
Yeah.
So we can't forget and say, like, I want my kids to have everything because I don't want them to experience what I experienced. But are those experiences really bad experiences? Yeah. Our kids need to learn the importance of hard work ethic, hustling, working hard, going after our dreams, and having a growth mindset.
That's right.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Let's go.
Growing up, Tom had an obsession with wrestling and was fascinated by Stone Cold Steve Austin, basically idolizing him, which would play a significant role in Tom's life. In fact, when Tom was just 14 years old, he would talk his parents into signing him up for wrestling training, which, being supportive parents, they did. Tom would train tirelessly for the next 24 weeks before booking his first ever wrestling match. Tom would use this moment to grind hard, eventually landing a spot on a TV show called Canadian Wrestling Legends that aired every 2 weeks. Due to the hectic scheduling of his wrestling matches, Tom would have to stop attending regular high school, instead opting for a program that allowed him to work at his own pace. It was around this time that one of Tom's closest friends would introduce Tom to a new rapper that would be far more relatable to Tom than Tupac was. The artist he was introduced to was Eminem. Tom would see himself in Eminem, and it was around this time that Tom would start to write his first raps, but still, it was a back burner idea, as Tom still had a dream of becoming a wrestler, and it seemed to be working. A lot of people have tried to dispute the fact that Tom MacDonald was ever a pro wrestler, but I have been able to confirm over 63 legitimate matches that Tom was involved in. Looking at his show history, it looks like Tom MacDonald participated in as many as 13 matches in 1 month alone, all the way back in 2005. That's like a match every 2 days during 1 month. But as time went on, Tom's statistics would start to go down from an over 60% win rate down to a 0% win rate when he stopped in 2009. Unfortunately, it seemed like Tom's dream of becoming a world-renowned wrestler were over, and so were the days of his pampered childhood. But Tom's parents built him to be resilient, and that is what he would prove to be over the next few years.
Oh, I felt that pause.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So isn't it crazy how sometimes we think what we want and we get upset in the changes that take place? He went from being 100% winner down to a 0% winner.
You're hitting
but
the spot.
we think that that's a loss, but it's really a win.
That's right.
Sometimes we have to take the circumstances and situations that we go through and not look at them through a negative lens.
No.
Understanding, here's what I always say. when something happens that wasn't what you expected, desired, what you planned, what you had envisioned, you got to pause and say, okay, God, you knew this was going to happen. What next? Period.
Next? Yeah,
you don't have to go into depths of all this. Okay, God, you knew this was going to happen because he knows everything, right? Yeah. What next? Pause, process it, pray about it, and then proceed. Those are the 4 P's that I like to live by. My husband. Pause, process, pray, and then proceed. I just listened to this amazing sermon this morning about how we make sporadic decisions based on circumstances because we focus on that circumstance and then we move in it so quickly and we realize, I don't know if that choice was right for me because we see something like now he went from 100% to 0 and his world dream was to be a wrestler. Yeah. Like that's what he thought he wanted to be.
That's right. We want to acknowledge you in the chat here, Keith. I'm glad you're here. Shout out to the Hug family. Glad to be here. Yes, sir. All right. Purpose.
I agree with that too.
All right. Well, if you're saying bye, me too, we say bye to you as well. Take care. That's right. Yeah. To add to what my wife is saying, because one door closes doesn't mean it's over. Exactly. Because what happens if you keep on walking that journey, another door opens. So every time a door closes, another one opens. I can speak from my own personal life about many different ways that I have seen this happen in so many different ways. And oftentimes the things that you are very upset about, that you think, oh my goodness, I can't believe this just happened. I lost my job, or this went wrong, or my son got locked up and stuff like that, right? Our daughter broke her foot and things. We think, oh my goodness, that was the worst thing.
It's such a setback.
It's such a setback. But little do you know, it's like, the divine hands of God is shifting you into a direction where he will try to get you to a place where you can live out your dream to the fullest. So don't underestimate the power of change, because sometimes changes come with positive results if we don't lose hope and we don't lose heart.
And the key is pausing. Don't react in it. Don't start trying to fix and figure it out. Pause. And say, okay, this is what happened. That's what the processing is. Not processing what needs to be done. Processing, okay, this is what happened. And then praying about it. Okay, God, you knew this was going to happen. It don't have to be a long, drawn-out prayer. No, God, you knew this was going to happen.
That's right.
Help me to be patient in the wait before I proceed so I know what's supposed to be next.
That's right.
Because a lot of times what we think is a setback and a failure can very well just be the beginning of a brand new, exciting beginning, a fresh start of something that was of your real purpose.
That's right.
Part of the plan of your purpose. But everything is a lesson.
Yeah.
Everything is a learning lesson.
That's right.
And you can take from every situation and circumstance that happens.
That's right.
And then you just start to see, how do I respond to situations that cause me to feel uncomfortable?
Yeah. Change is the only constant. Wow.
Change is the only constant.
Ah, good.
That is a great one. Thank you, Corruption.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you, Digital Soldier. Thank you for reminding everyone. Hey, like and subscribe. I want you guys to become a part of the family here. Come on, everybody.
Smash that like.
Yeah, smash that like and subscription. Yeah. And beautiful wisdom. So, guys, again, if I may repeat what my wife is saying here. There's a text in the passage here that I would like to leave with you. In the Bible, I would like to leave with you. It's found from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. The Bible says, I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord. Plan of peace and not of evil, to give you a hope and a future. So God has wonderful plans for our lives. And there are times he has to close some doors to open others. So don't always become discouraged because things are not always going the way that you think they are. I will say keep on working, keep on following that line, and keep on listening to that still small voice, because he has a way of taking you to that journey and that destination. So don't be discouraged.
Yeah, I love it, because I think what's so amazing, and this is the beauty of a testimony. When you start to see how God allowed you to go through certain things, how some things changed and some things weren't what you expected or what you had hoped for, but then you see the final outcome when you stay true to yourself in God and understanding that there are some things that are beyond our control. We can't see the future. We can only see the now, and how we function in the now has a huge and profound impact on our future. So when we're making decisions, before you make any major decisions, all day long, your decisions need to be saturated with the wisdom of God.
That's right.
Period. So what that looks like is, but here's the truth of it. When I was making decisions before I came into Christ, let me tell you, I had no idea that God was all around it. So the other thing you can do, even if you're not in relationship with God right now, like I may be, or like someone else you know may be, know that God has been there from the beginning.
That's right.
Because I look back in my 20s and earlier, and even my early 30s, before I really truly accepted Christ into my life, and I see God's hand in all of it. Like, oh, this lady came and she said, oh, did you see that school? And then I said, oh, let's go together. And you know what? She didn't get accepted, but I got accepted. And that's how I got my RN. And so God just was putting all these people in my life, and I didn't even realize it.
That's right.
So this is the kind of merciful and gracious God that we serve, that a lot of times we're not even aware of how he's moving and functioning in our life, but he just is. And you realize it later. Wow. So when you do realize it later, just don't forget to give him praise and say, thank you, God.
That's right.
So so just paying attention to yourself, paying attention to what's happening, and asking God to keep you from reacting. But then there's times where you just do. And later on, you see how in God's mercy and grace, he still switched it up and still was there for you.
That's right. Look at Last King of Norway. We can talk. Certainly. You let me know whenever you want to do that. So I give you my number right there in email, so you can talk whenever you want. James, sometimes we don't realize that God knows what is good for us, and he closes door for us that he will only lead to our destination. Exactly. We need to be thankful when he does this for us and not see it as lost. Amen, brother.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going.
All right,
We're
let's
only
go back to
7
Tom.
minutes in.
Let's go back to Tom here.
Tom would move from wrestling to doing odd jobs like carpentry, just like his father, and he even worked in the oil fields for a while, but the work was unsatisfying and unfulfilling. Since Tom was a kid, his parents had supported his every move, allowing him to believe that he would be able to do something great in life, and the desire to do something that impacted people, mixed with the inability to do so, just wasn't a good mix. Perhaps it was the mundaneness of his life, but Tom would start to struggle with the reality of his broken dreams and would also develop depression and anxiety.
Wow.
It was at this point in his life that he needed a new calling, something he could be great at, and he turned his blind ambitions towards music and pulled the trigger. He would buy some small-time studio equipment and make an attempt at music. Again.
Sorry, I have to pause it. Here's where I have to pause it.
Yeah.
So many of us are living a life of mundane,
That's right.
unfulfilled, day by day, just going through the motions.
That's right.
This right here ought to challenge anyone who can relate to that, to say, what is the purpose and plan that is really for me?
That's right.
That really has to be a question that we start to ask ourselves. And it takes courage to break out, because where did he go? He went from doing jobs. And the beauty is that he did follow in his father's footsteps. So you see the respect and love that he had for him, for him.
That's right.
But he also understood that within himself, his father's walk was not his own. So it's like we follow in the patterns of our parents, or those people who we look up to, or those people who have been a positive influence in our lives.
That's right.
But then we still have our own walk.
That's right. You got to own up to that difference in that individuality, that calling, that purpose.
Yeah.
You should never surrender that, just for the sake of others.
So really, if you're hearing him talk and you're feeling like, I go to work every day and I'm kind of miserable. And so there could be two things that can happen. You're just looking at your job from a negative perspective and not seeing the beauty and the blessing of it, or it's not really where you're supposed to be.
That's right. You were created for a bigger purpose, obviously.
Whatever, and bigger doesn't mean
better,
more money or more of this or more of that. The purpose can literally just be different.
That's right.
So it's not, or maybe, so it could be that you're supposed to be there with a different perspective.
That's right.
Or it could be that you're supposed to be moving away from this because it's just not where your peace and your liberty and where your destination is.
That's right. Hey, Mike, Cable, I want to acknowledge you here.
Exactly.
Always remember, we don't find God, the Lord finds us. Okay? Finds us right? Finds us, and he finds us.
I love what Salvador said. Thank you, Salvador, for saying someone's got to work the odd jobs. I've been there too. So understanding,
true.
So that is key. Understanding that there is going to be phases that you go through. So while he was going through this phase, when he realized this wasn't his fulfillment, someone else is going to come over and take in.
That's right.
We never have to feel like, if I leave, there's no one else. There's always someone who's going to fulfill those places. There is nothing with being a housekeeper for 30 years. There's some people who that is where their purpose is.
That's right.
They will be a housekeeper for forever, and there's someone who will be a CEO for forever until they retire. And then there's people who come in and they move in and out of these positions. And that's okay too. It's when people find themselves stuck.
That's right.
That's what you have to be careful with.
Yeah. Hunter Anderson, you asked a good question. What is my purpose? You know, that's a good question here. You know, I have found it in my relationship with God. He gave me that direction, shows me the calling and value and purpose. All that I found it in my relationship with God. But we can go deeper than that. You know, you gotta look at the things that really make you feel somewhat fulfilled. You know, and also acknowledge the beauties that are in you, the talents and the gifts that you have, and use them to live the life that you feel like God is calling you to live. Yeah, that's a really good question. But that purpose, honestly, is found in a relationship with Christ. Yeah.
And I think that's a great side video that you can do.
Yeah.
I want to, the last King of Norway said, this is why we need to promote good instead of evil. So seeing how much evil is being pushed into the world through different avenues, this is why I love doing this, because to me, I can totally see how talking about Tom MacDonald and promoting his work and really digging deep into what he's trying to tell us breaks chains in my own life.
That's right.
So as I'm talking to you guys, I'm experiencing it myself. I'm saying this, you know, I want to change. I want to do something different. And what it becomes is something to inspire, to uplift, and to change the thought processes of people who have been brainwashed, because we've all been brainwashed to a certain extent. So it's about going against the grain and being able to see the narrative that is actually supposed to go against the narrative that wants to keep us oppressed and keep our minds debased, and really coming out of there and breaking free.
Merci.
So, all right.
Good. Thank you.
You know, he wasn't set on making hip-hop music. Instead, Tom was making rock music, learning to play the guitar, trying to train his vocals to sound like the superstars, and working on his song structures. But it wouldn't take long for Tom to realize his vocal talents just wasn't what he needed them to be, and his dream of being a rock star would start to die as well. However, Tom had been writing poetry since way back, and even started secretly writing raps when he was wrestling and while he was recording his rock music. With no other path paved for him, at 19 years old, Tom decided he would officially give the rap game a try. He recorded a multitude of songs that he says were all horrible. See, Tom had been writing raps about regular topics like jewelry, money, clothes, females, and so on, but it didn't feel authentic to him, since that's not the life he was raised in, and that sense of no self would lead him deeper into depression, deeper into the drugs, and deeper into alcoholism. One day, Tom seen an advertisement for a rap show that was gonna go down in Alberta, Canada, and the advertisement had an email listed on it. Tom would send an email over to the promoter asking if he could perform at the show. Tom was really taking a chance here, as he had never performed publicly, but was in need of something to work out in his life.
Let me pause here very quickly. I want to read a comment that was said, and then I want to add something to that. People truly can do whatever it is, not the real Hobson. People truly can do whatever it is that they want to do in life. But you must be willing to put in the effort and to not give up. As Eminem will say, failure is not an option. Keep going. Keep moving. That's beautiful. Yeah. Quickly, what I'm seeing is that Tom actually took a leap of faith. That's what we call that in the Christian circle. A leap of faith. He wasn't sure this was going to work. On a friend time when you going about your calling, fulfilling your purpose, is not always cleared from the onset. But as you take that leap, right, you make that decision to say, I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone, and I'm going to do things differently. It is as you take that step, the fulfillment is achieved. So I want to say to you,
and the foundation is laid. So sometimes
the foundation is laid. Yeah.
Like each step. So sometimes
you may not see the whole journey.
Path.
Yeah.
You can't see the whole path, but it's like, you know, your headlights. Sometimes when you're driving in a car, you can't see all the way what's up ahead of you in those dark roads. That's why sometimes we have to put on the high beams.
Yeah. Sometimes
we just have to, well, with our regular headlights, we see what's in front of us. And you have to keep driving. You have to keep going. You have
forward.
to keep going forward. So that way the road can continue to be paved before you when it comes to how we're walking in purpose. And what I love is that I bet you Tom MacDonald now looks back and says, wow, all these connections were made, and this is why I'm here now. And he'll continue to do that.
Yeah.
But he stayed true to understanding when he wasn't feeling at peace within himself. The one beautiful thing that when you are in purpose, you do have peace within your spirit.
That's right.
So if you don't have peace, which is keep saying here over and over, he went into depression, he went into these different things. He was chasing peace.
That's right.
He was
looking
chasing
for something
purpose.
better than what he was living for. He wanted something better, and he knew it.
He was chasing peace in his purpose.
That's right. And that's true for all of us, though. You know what I'm saying? So there is that God-shaped hole in us, that desire to do something, to be a better person. And Tom knew that, So did he know that he was going to blow up as much as he did? What if he chose not to take that leap of faith, to go in that direction? Yeah. Maybe God could have used them somewhere else, that's for sure. But maybe hug of a fan, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. So all these things you have to
But be careful. Don't go everyone quitting your jobs today or anything. You know what I mean?
Because you had injury.
Because we're in a basement. We don't have money to pass out to make sure everybody can pay their rent.
Please.
So take your time. Remember, it's a pause, a process, a pray, and then a proceed. So don't go. Everyone like, I don't have peace. I'm quitting my job. I'm quitting that. No. We got to, but be patient in it. Pay attention to the people around you, the situations around you. Like he did. He paid attention to this email and he just said, let me just do it. And then watch the results just happen and watch them come out.
And by the way, guys, sometimes it's okay to send up a prayer to God and simply ask him, Lord, what would you have me to do? Do you have a better plan for my life? And help me to see what it is and accept it for what it is.
And the truth is, I doubt.
You'd be so shocked how your life might change around.
I agree. But I doubt Tom MacDonald said that before all this happened. When we're looking at his story, I don't see him saying, oh, hi, baby. I don't see him. I don't see Tom MacDonald looking to God for guidance and wisdom and praying. You know what I'm saying? I see him.
Thank you.
I love you. I see him being one and being in tune with himself and saying, I'm not satisfied.
That's right.
I'm not satisfied, and paying attention to his surroundings and making different moves in order to kind of get where he's at. So it's just we have to be honest here. Yeah. I don't think he was sitting there saying, "Oh, okay, God, what should I do next?" I mean, it's pretty obvious. He doesn't say that. Yeah. He went through depression. He went through different things. So you're going to go through motions and processes and things of that nature. Now, the nice thing is when you get connected with God, you can avoid a lot of hurt through bad decisions and things of that nature. But also, we just really had to, we really have to understand that sometimes we go through stuff and we don't see God, but we might see him later. All right. But the best way, the ultimate way, is to make sure you're asking God to be part of that decision process as you're making changes and as you're doing things in life.
That's right. All right, let's go back.
Yes, Curb, Sean. There is a scripture that says, walk by faith and not by sight. Spot on. Yeah. So as you're walking in faith, the way is being paved right before you.
That's right. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7.
Yeah.
Good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's go back to Tom. Only going to get better.
He would get an email back asking for him to send over a demo, which he did, and to his astonishment, he was told he could perform. Before the day of the show, he would get another email from the person throwing the show asking if he could help pass out flyers and help promote it, to which he said yes. He would show up and meet the person who was throwing the show and arguably the person that is behind Tom MacDonald's success, Nova Rockefeller.
Wow.
Nova and Tom would go on to enjoy the night. Nova was happy because she managed to sell out the show, which we now know was her first time throwing one. And Tom was happy because he got to perform for a sold-out crowd. From there, the two would become good friends, and Tom would have someone on his side that would always have his back, just like...
Wow, what a beautiful story, right?
I pressed pause this time, guys.
Nova's first show, his first rap. Look at that. And they had no idea what was going to happen, and they had no idea about 2022 and what would it be, how he's going to marry her now because he sold out all his albums, right? Is that happening? Do we see any more about that story?
That's right.
Right?
Beautiful. Oh, Testimistic is here. Yes, girl. Wedding coming soon. Brace yourself.
Hey. Yes, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Tuesday.
Whoa.
Yay!
Can't wait.
I can't wait to see pictures.
Send us some.
Tom's coming to a crossroad. Yes.
He is. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
That's awesome. So, yes. So, I just think that's awesome to see how they met and to hear that story. And it was a first for both of them. How unique and how beautiful.
Chelsea, the video, The Brave, definitely. I think we can watch that. It's a short one. Yeah. Powerful.
Awesome.
Amen. So, let's go back.
Okay.
Oh, it gets better. So you see when the girls come in there, this is like where the shifting begin to take place because beside every great man.
Shout out to Nova. Yes, girl.
Yeah,
Good
shout
job.
out to Nova. Yeah,
Selling
that's
out your first show.
Hey man, there's no Tom MacDonald without a Nova. Hey, let's be honest.
And that's important
His
too.
parents.
That's important.
Very important.
And Tom would have someone on his side that would always have his back, just like his parents did growing up. Nova and Tom's relationship would last several years before the two decided that they were going to move to the next step and become more than just friends. But before the two would become the dynamic duo the world knows them as, Tom would have a few more years of struggling. Tom was still living in Canada, but Canada never really felt like home for him. He just didn't fit in. Plus, the music scene in Canada is really hard to break into. The infrastructure for the music industry really just isn't that strong in Canada, and Tom knew this. So he would start making frequent trips across the border, entering into the United States, and going to California to record and push his music. After numerous trips, the border started to become suspicious of Tom's travels, and every time he would try to come over to the United States, he would end up getting delayed for hours on end while being questioned about his travels. Eventually, Tom would grow tired of the constant questioning, delays, and headaches. Since Canada never really felt like home and he seemed to be making more and more frequent trips to America, Tom just went ahead and applied for an artist visa with the intention of moving to America. The visa was eventually granted, giving Tom clearance to not only visit America, but also to be able to make money over here. But when he got to California, he found out that everything that glitters ain't gold. And while living life as a struggling artist in America, Tom would have a serious mental health breakdown. Tom was partying, drinking, smoking weed, and living life as if it was already over. Tom was laying in bed one night after years of partying and bad decision making when he started to feel a little nauseous. Tom would get out of bed, and when he did, he said he felt like the room was spinning with each step he took. Tom could feel his heart rate increasing, his vision would start to become blurry, and in a panic, Tom would pull out his phone and call 911 because he knew something wasn't right. But as soon as he hit the call button, he would fall over on the ground and become unresponsive. Basically, Tom's body was shutting down on him. Tom would recover, but immediately after the incident, Tom would have a mental break. When the breakdown happened for Tom, he said that he wouldn't speak to anybody and would just stare off into space and was just in general unaware of the world around him. When he tried to eat, he was unable to. Insomnia started to set in and sleep became non-existent. He was experiencing extreme anxiety to the point that it even caused paranoia. And Tom, well, he was ready to punch his own time card and clock himself out.
And then what ended up happening was I had a really lengthy battle with alcoholism, which led to having a catastrophic sort of mental unraveling like 3.5 years ago. And I spent 9 months trying to figure out what was wrong with me and getting prescribed all type of different pills and reading and researching and meditating and trying to put myself back together. Sort of what ended up happening was I spent 9 months in like the darkest place that I've ever been in my life. When you spend 9 months in such an acute state of unwellness, you really get to know like what you're made of. You really figure it out when you spend 24 hours a day for the better part of a year contemplating if you're gonna wake up tomorrow or not. You learn a lot about yourself.
It got so bad, his family ended up sending one of Tom's old friends to California. When the friend got there, he broke into Tom's house and packed all of Tom's stuff before literally wrestling Tom and shoving him into a cab where they would then go to the airport and fly back to Canada.
Wow. We gotta talk about those.
Wow.
We gotta talk about that.
Wow.
Yeah. The suffering that comes along and that in him coming to term with the goal that he felt like he was called with is so significant.
This is the struggle that a lot of people go through, and the beauty is that he comes out victorious.
Yes, he did.
We all have a story, and this is what I love, and this is why eventually we're going to do everyone's testimony of how Tom MacDonald and his story
that's coming up, guys.
has inspired you, has connected with you. We all have a story, and this is why I say, no, we can talk about God because of where we're at today, but our past, our story, at that time, we didn't see God in it. We didn't understand the divine provisions that were being made without our understanding, without our knowing. So we have to understand that when we go through stuff, it's real, and we have to face it. And what he said was, after you are struggling with yourself, you start to see what you're made of.
That's right.
You start to see what was really like, and you still don't really know. You only know what's happening in that present moment, in that now. And you really just are coming face to face with yourself, like, what is going on with me? He tried so many different things, right?
That's right.
He did alcoholism. He realized he was having anxiety attacks. And these anxiety attacks were debilitating for him.
Of course he is.
They made him
Very
sick. They made him nauseous.
death.
So the mental stress, understanding how your mental health affects your physical health is real. So I'm challenging all of us to really start to think about, if you're dealing with any of these issues, or if you have dealt with them, have you really understood the way the mental connects with the physical?
That's right.
Because it does. And then we start taking pills for the symptom management.
That's right.
Where sometimes we just need to look deeper and start asking more questions and really start to self-reflect.
That's right. It's so significant, guys, that we also realize that there's suffering in that journey. That path to fulfill your purpose, there's a lot of suffering in it. But like my wife said, you can't give up, though, because that's what it takes to get to the next level. Like they say, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
I love what Dave said. Dave, none of your business. The fact that he's able to talk about it so straightforward is a testament to how genuine he is. He is an inspiration. Agreed. 100%.
I agree with that,
Going down. Brandon Hart. This is that verse that I always say. Since you were precious in my sight, I have loved you. Therefore, I will give men for you and people for your life. Brandon Hart was one of those people that he looks back today, I know. He says, he got me before I got myself, right? That's right. This was a person that was sent to help me, wrestled him to a cab to get him on a plane to go to Canada. This is what a support system, this is what friendship looks like. This is what love looks like.
That's right.
This is what love looks like.
That's right.
Wow.
So this is what it takes, though. The kind of friends, these are the type of friends you need in your life. These are the type of friends you need to be to others who may be going through stuff, because you just don't know. Your intervention
KB Goes Live. You're the one who made this video,
Hey,
right?
KB Goes Live. We want to acknowledge you in the chat.
Thank y'all for reacting to my video and expounding upon this. Keep it up.
Guys, please go over. This is my
first time. It's powerful.
Go over to KB Goes Live. Go show him some love. KB Goes Live. Put your channel in the chat room. Our friends and family here are going to go show you some love. Thank you for what you do. We love this stuff. And I did tell you I'm going to use your stuff. So here we are doing just that, man. Thank you. We appreciate how unbiased it is, how clear it is, how simple you put this stuff. Your work is very valuable to us, and we embrace the things you do.
I love when I get the chills, because I know synapses are happening and stuff is going down. It's all divine and it's all greater. Mike and the Dad Crosby at KB Goes Live. Awesome job. You gained a new sub. This is what we're talking about. This is how we start to build and connect and all that great stuff. And I love Gulick the Boo. In Tom's case, the refiner's fire had to burn very hot to remove the impurities. It took a foundational character, which we can see that his parents gave him, right? That resilience. A foundational character to endure that. Hog fam.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome, KB Goes Live. We are thankful for you, my friend.
Because I didn't know anything about Tom except for what was coming through the comments. This is every time you've seen me, this is it for me and Tom. Because when I leave down this basement, I go upstairs to life with the kids. I don't have the same kind of time.
Yeah.
Because I work in the morning, so then I'm getting the kids to bed and I'm passing out.
That's right.
So what I'm trying to say basically is this is it for me. So everyone sharing and everyone giving the feedback and the comments, and this documentary is opening up my eyes that much more to Tom. And I'm like, wow, I have such a deeper appreciation for him and God.
Yeah.
Because again, I always say, you can see God. You can see he wasn't talking to God. He did. He said, he did say he was meditating, things of that nature. He didn't say God per se, but he was trying different things to figure out what was going on with him. And then in the futuristically speaking, now he looks back and he sees it all. And for me and my belief system, I believe that's God.
Powerful.
Right?
His hands was all over the place, guys.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Wow.
As a silent witness, he was moving and shaping and changing circumstances in his life to lead him to the point that he is right now. And now he's a blessing to us, right? His messages are so good to the point where we are having this discussion. So we do not underestimate the power of God's working in your life. No matter, even though you can't see him, but guess what? The result is being felt. We can see the difference.
And you start to get...
It's an invisible force that you can deny.
Holy Spirit vibes. Holy Spirit chills.
That's right.
So I want to read a couple of these comments because this is what it's all about. Connections, man. I love that. Tessimistic. KB goes live. Yes. Dave, none of your business. KB, you got his sub.
That's right, KB.
Thanks, KB. So everybody, please go and like and subscribe.
Show him some love.
Because this is powerful. I'm loving the way it's all put together
I've seen
everything.
I've seen other documentaries and they're very biased in their approach. That's not what you do here. That's why we love this, because you just tell the story without pointing your finger and trying to say Illuminati or kind of nonsense. I love when people see the positivity that is in people, and when you put stuff like that, you're gonna get my attention, brother.
Renee, did anybody see Tom and Adam's prayer to God on Instagram?
We need
I
to.
want to read it. I need to. I want to.
It's a very powerful one.
Tori Dukes, thank you for the super chat. Hog in the house.
That's
Woo-woo.
right.
Remember to go get Hog and ACAL gear before it's gone forever. Thank you, Pastor James and Andrea, for sharing your perspective. Godspeed, much love.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you.
We can't wait to get our CDs and
Excuse me. Yes, I can't wait.
No one deserves. Okay. To live like. Can you read?
Live like that. No one deserves to live like that. Respect. I'm so proud for him. Awesome, real conversation. Thank you, because this is the kind of conversations we need to have for a growth mindset, right?
That's right.
All right, let's get back to it.
Let's get back to Tom. Let's go back to KB Goes Live, making it happen for us here. So here we are.
Tom's parents would then go to the airport and fly back to Canada. Tom's parents allowed him to take refuge in his childhood home. He would recover and said that he really knew at this point that he had to change his way of living and knew that he could never go back to living the way he used to, but he would eventually pack his things and head right back to America.
With a new perspective, right? Head back to America, not with
a new foundation too.
A new thought process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tom would end up living with his friend and the first person that really gave Tom an opportunity back in the day, Nova. Nova and Tom's relationship would start to develop into more than just a friendship, and the two of them would find themselves dating. Nova had previously had a recording contract with Mercury Records, which later became Island Records, also known as Def Jam. So the love for music was always instilled in both of them. But while Tom was fighting his own demons, so was Nova. She had been dropped from her label, which she only found out about when her landlord told her the label wasn't paying her rent anymore. And Nova was in pretty much the same financial position as Tom. Nova and Tom will move in together, renting a small house in the middle of South Central. South Central is a notoriously dangerous area in Los Angeles that is impacted by drugs, gangs, and extreme poverty. South Central is the trenches for real. Tom has described the living situation, stating that there were rats in the walls, roaches crawling on the dishes, and that they didn't even have money for food. Tom says that the 9 months he was living in South Central was hell, and said that he was at the end of his rope. He had no money for food and had only a half a cigarette to his name when he decided to go out on the front steps of his porch in South Central with a notepad, light the half a cigarette, and write a song. The song was titled Dear Rapper. After writing the song, Tom went back in the house and told Nova that he thought he had wrote the song that would change their life. He asked her to set up the video lights and camera they owned while he went into the room to record. When the record was finished, Nova and Tom shot a music video for the song, and Nova began editing it. At the time, Tom had no traction with his music, but was determined to get noticed. He had released 3 albums prior to the song,
Wow.
One titled Leanne's Son in 2014, another titled Dream People in the Whiskey Wars in 2015, and another titled See You Tomorrow in 2015. And none had made the impact that these next few singles and albums would make.
Wow.
Guys, can I preach it like I feel it right now? You see, you just can't give up. You know, there are times when you do give things a try, you might fail, all right? Because you fail doesn't mean you're a failure. Sometimes you, in that battle, you might lose. You might lose your battle, several battles. This doesn't mean you've lost the war. You're going to have to make up your mind to be resilient sometime and say, I'm going to keep moving no matter how much I failed. Push. There's an acronym for that, right?
Pray until something happens.
Praying
Push.
until something happens. So I would say, guys, don't be discouraged in the things that you do. It doesn't matter what dreams you're trying to live. Maybe you're wrestling with some character traits, right? Maybe you're wrestling with your faith. Maybe you're working on your YouTube channel. Look what's happening to our YouTube channel. Listen, man, we've been wrestling with this YouTube page for well over 12 years. You know, so in just the past month or so, things blew up. If I had given up, I don't think this would have happened. I would have never met people like you, people like Tom. You know, and again, maybe it's a relationship, right? Don't give up on each other. Don't give up on yourself. Just keep moving forward because you just don't know. You just don't know when your breakthrough is about to take place. That's why you got to keep pressing and you got to keep pushing.
I think one thing that happens that we oftentimes just ignore is there's like something within us that tells us to go do something.
That's
something
right.
told him to take the notepad, go outside, sit on the porch, smoke that cigarette, and write.
That's right.
And what do we end up doing? I don't feel like it. I don't this. Wallowing in our pain, wallowing in whatever's going on, our circumstance. No, you have to listen to yourself because God is speaking even before we know his voice.
That's right.
We are being spoken to even when we don't understand fully what's happening around us.
That's right.
You have to pay attention. Paying attention is so important.
Yes.
So important. So
Very
wow.
important.
That's powerful. And yes, someone said they were getting teary-eyed. That's just how I feel.
Yeah.
This is like, I'm like, oh my goodness, how awesome. Like this whole story is powerful.
Maybe the next.
Wow, I'm really con mom
Dear Rapper.
18.
Dear
Wow,
Rapper
I'm
is
really
good.
con mom 18. Wow, I'm really getting teary-eyed listening to this. I know, like my heart is like, I just want to go give Tom a hug and be like, you made it, brother. You did it. You
Hard
did it.
work pays off,
Thank you.
Tom.
And thank you for a platform to
That's
be
right.
able to share and just being so open and vulnerable.
right.
And thank you, KB, for putting this together this way. KC or KB?
KB goes live, yeah.
Like, this is like, it's just so powerful.
Very powerful.
And it just really makes me, I mean, the appreciation I know I'm going to have for his songs after listening to this, tenfold.
That's why I wanted to do this documentary because it puts value on the content of his music, especially when you know the person's life, where they've been, and what you can learn from that. I'm going to appreciate his songs even more.
Yeah, like, it's just like, wow, what he went through to get where he's at.
Powerful.
Woo.
Amazing.
And it was, and because he could have went home and stayed home and had the comforts of his mother's house,
He could have had
his
that.
home, his mother
Yeah.
and father's home. Remember that. There is always the comfort zone. And my other line is there's no growth in the comfort zone and no
There's
comfort in the growth zone. So when we understand that, we're going to go through some stuff. And sometimes we have a soft cushion. He could have went back home to Canada and been, because his father, remember, his father landed a good job and they were not struggling anymore. But he understood the vision for himself was unique and separate, and he paid attention to the peace that he was striving after and within himself.
Amen.
Right?
Amen. My cable.
I'm on board with Pastor James that I never met Tom. I'm on board with Pastor James and that I never met Tom, and all I want is a hug. Right?
Yeah, me too. Me too. Just to say, man, I'm so glad you did it, man.
Yeah.
So,
Like,
you know, sometimes don't underestimate the power of your challenges and your suffering and your circumstances, because part of them are shaping and molding you to be the man that you are today, the woman that you are today, the person that you are going to be to those in the world. Your influence, your positivity, your individuality is very unique to God. Embrace that. Embrace that.
yeah. And you might not hear God in this moment. I think that's what's so profound about Tom's story.
Yeah.
You don't hear
hear
he had this strong biblical connection with God.
But we can see.
But we see it now. And so it's just keep striving, keep pushing.
Yeah.
Keep pushing, keep pressing forward, because eventually your story will all come together. And this is what it is in the Word of God. We see it happening through and through. And this is what we see in our own lives. So this is why your testimony is so powerful, because as you say it out loud, it's like, oh man, I didn't even realize how all that went together and connected.
That's right.
I mean, it's just a beautiful story.
That's right. We can see his body, God's body language all throughout his experience.
Yes,
It's all over the
100%.
place. Yeah. Amen. Let's go.
While Nova was editing the video for Dear Rappers, Tom would reach out to his mom, sister, friends, and even a stranger who described himself as an investor on the internet and borrowed about $1,100 collectively from them. Tom took the $1,100 and ran ads on his song, and within the first 2 days, it had reached 1.1 million views on YouTube.
Praise
The
the
song
Lord.
would generate a lot of attention, but not necessarily good attention. On the song Dear Rappers, Tom would address rappers who talk about negative content like drug use and murder, and basically just give his opinion on it. The world would view this song as Tom MacDonald targeting black artists who rap about this stuff, but Tom claims that's just information being bent by the media, and then he wasn't talking about black rappers. He said he was talking about rappers of a certain content, not of a certain color.
So Dear Rappers goes off, does really well. And there's hundreds of thousands of people showing up at this point in time. And I don't have the infrastructure to deal with it. So Dear Rappers. And it was just like criticizing the status quo of hip hop and the message in hip hop and the effect that it has on the youth, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden there's like 50,000 people like on my Facebook and my Twitter all calling me down saying that like, you wrote these 2 songs criticizing black rappers, you're a racist, like blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yo, I'm not criticizing rappers of a particular color. I'm criticizing rappers of a particular content.
Yes.
This is such a good thing to grasp very quickly. In the process of you living out your purpose, you can be so easily misunderstood. Tom MacDonald was clearly misunderstood. We don't misunderstand him. We know exactly what he's doing. For us, we like, okay, we get the content of what this brother is doing here. But many people have totally missed the mark. And oftentimes what happens is whenever you're approaching something different that you're not used to, right? There's something that is called in psychology cognitive dissonance. It's almost like your belief system, you feel like it's under attack. But oftentimes what you have to do, you have to take a very humble position. You have to put aside biasness. You have to put aside preconceived notion. And you have to have an open mind and an open heart to see, what can I learn from this? And what tends to happen when you do that, truth becomes a reality to you. And you begin to digest and things. This doesn't mean you can spit out the seeds. If certain things are said that are not right, you can do that. But at the same time, you have to have an open mind to change so that you can see what God is doing through a person, an artist, whoever the person is. Because you may not agree with them on everything, but there are something there. If you have an open mind and open heart, you can learn something. And I wish people had given Tom the benefit of the doubt and appreciate him for the content of his message at least.
Yeah, because that's what it's all about. But you have to understand too, right? How many people fed that narrative of, oh, he's being wrong, he's this, he's that. Because what does it look like if he starts calling out the mainstream hip-hop world that is giving this content that is debasing, that has no real fruit, it has no real positive influence. He's talking about how it affected the youth. He's talking about what they talked about, money, drugs, violence, living a risque life. What does that do to the label industries if he starts to get all this fame? They saw that 1.1 million, right? They saw that. They knew what was about to go down. They knew the influence and power that he would start to have if he penetrated the mind.
That's right.
And they wanted to shut his mouth. So they started popping those seeds of, so look, I think that was race related.
Label.
Race related.
Yeah.
I think this was against all black rappers. No.
Naysayers.
He enjoyed rap. He couldn't even keep up with the heavy metal. Heavy metal doesn't have a positive, any heavy metal that doesn't have a positive influence, he didn't stick with that.
No.
But so what's going on there? So we have to really be careful and see what happened here. He started to produce a word that would have taken down what record labels and companies didn't want to get out. They don't want to lose money.
Tom did what no other artists were doing at the time when he
was going against.
He went against the wave. He went against the narrative. He
called him out.
That's right. He attacked the Scottish crowd. He exposed them.
He let them know, hey, this is not acceptable.
Yeah.
This is what it's doing. It's negative. It's debasing,
destroying
and it has no quality. None. It's destroying our youth. So what? Oh, all of a sudden they want to make him out to be this negative, put him in a negative light. Yeah. No, and and I want to give a shout out to, I guess these are clips from another B. Tatum interview clip. We want to give a shout out to B. Tatum. Thank you for this interview that KB was able to put in. We want to shout out everyone who had a role to play in this because it's so powerful. This is such a powerful documentary. And when you hear it from the horse's mouth, why don't you believe it? Because he's not saying anything of color. Yeah. He's saying everything of context of what you're feeding and what your message is. Period.
There you go. Simple as that, guys. Very powerful. So in the process of you trying to do your dreams, be aware. You're going to be misunderstood. You're going to be attacked. The enemies will come at you. The naysayers will try to discourage you. But I want to pause to make it clear today. Don't be discouraged, especially when you know you're standing for what is truth. Truth, no matter how hard it is attacked, always wins. So you can just stand on the foundation of truth, tell the truth for what it is. And one thing you also need to know, people love the truth. People are hungry for truth. We are tired of fluff. We are tired of nonsense. We are tired of men stripping and dancing in the showers. Bunch of naked. We're tired of that. That stuff doesn't bring anybody up. It tears us down. So guess what? When an artist like Tom MacDonald comes out, we're going to embrace that because our heart wants something better.
Absolutely. Let's keep going.
And you've taken that way out of context, so you have something to be angry about on the internet. Now there's all these people calling me a racist and blah, 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 blah. And being the only white boy in that neighborhood and hearing all of this stuff that people are saying on the internet, again, was just like this perfect mixture of angst and anger and just feelings that I was having. And I just put all that into a record.
Even with the backlash, Tom would quickly follow that single up only 3 months later with a song titled Castles. Castles would perform decently, but it just didn't see the same response as Dear Rappers did. And that may be because of the approach he took to the song. The song has meaningful lyrics and describes everyone's internal battles, and there was no controversy involved. Because of the lack of response to Castles, Tom would only wait 1 more month, and then he would drop a song titled Hell of It. In this song, Tom would reestablish his view on rappers that promote negative content. And as expected, this song would create a controversy online, and in the process, would send Tom's streams through the roof. Tom would capitalize on the buzz by dropping another song titled White Boy. This is by far the moment where Tom was introduced to a mainstream audience. The song would first go viral on Facebook, but eventually went viral on all platforms in less than a week. On the song, Tom would take his now signature controversial stance on politics and racial history. The song was viewed by most as a highly offensive song, but Tom knew exactly what he was doing. He had that small taste of clout from his song Dear Rappers, and he wanted to taste it again. He had always wanted to make an impact, and this was the formula that would change his life forever and allow him to do that. Before dropping White Boy, Tom invited people from around the South Central neighborhood into his home to listen to the song and give feedback. He wanted to check the record's temperature with the people it might offend most. Tom says that the people in the hood listened to it and gave the thumbs up, so he released it. Over the next year, Tom would drop a string of music videos and spoken word videos, which eventually led to the release of his first post-fame album, aptly titled Death Threats. This album would take Tom to the next level. It didn't chart at the time of release, but Tom would show the world how devoted he was by signing each and every copy of the album by hand. He recorded videos to let the world know they would all be receiving individually signed CDs, and the fans loved it. Tom would continue to stroke the fire of controversy by dropping a song titled Politically Incorrect.
We gotta
Don't
pause.
you love how Tom was sensitive to who his audience, how his audience might react?
That is actually so true. I was saying.
Don't you love how he
He's
called
very
people from
intentional.
his own neighborhood in, and I'm sure they were black.
Yeah.
Obviously, the people who he could potentially offend, because the song is white boys, and not that they were all black, because white people get offended by black issues too,
All the time.
and that's important to understand that black issues are not just black and white issues. Race issues are not only, it doesn't only affect that person in that race. There are other people of compassion and of care and concern who do connect and try to support people who might have these issues with them. So anyways, the long and short of it is, look at what he does.
That's right.
How full of integrity,
Intentional.
full of character. Yeah, he intentionally wanted to make sure that, like, do you guys hear what I'm trying to say?
Understand me.
Are you understanding what I'm trying to portray? That this isn't against you, but it's against the narrative that the world is trying to put out. And getting that understanding and being able to glean, because those are the conversations that need to be had. So he has this conversation inspired through his music, and then he brings people in to help him understand that what he was trying to portray and to say, it is in fact how it would be perceived by those who are willing to hear and willing to have the conversation. We got to remember, some people have a negative lens on and they don't want to take it off.
Good point. Listen to this. KBgoeslive says, I've been sound condescending. I promise it wasn't meant to sound that way. Y'all are doing a great reaction. KB, I don't know how anybody could misunderstand the content of that documentary that you put together here. Is very clear to us. So again, we're talking about misunderstanding, right? You were misunderstood, boy.
And you know what?
So
So
many
this is
different
what,
ways.
I reacted to White Boys. Yes. So that was exciting to
That
be
was
able
exciting.
to see.
That's actually
that
the most
I knew,
viewed videos we have on our channel.
really,
Yeah.
I understood and I saw it and I'm like, there was nothing controversial against one particular race in that video.
Pure facts.
In the context of what he was saying.
Pure
It was
facts.
talking about how they're trying to keep us divided.
Put him
and
in a
don't
box.
say that. Don't say that.
Yeah.
No. No. And then he ends up alone
Yeah.
because white people don't want to hear truth. Black people don't want to hear truth. They want to stay in their box of, I'm being victimized or they're evil people. He talks about both sides of the story and he breaks it down through that music. And where does he end up in the end? Alone, with the room flipped.
Yeah.
Nobody standing with him.
There you go.
Right?
Sometimes that journey could be a lonely one. But once you know what you know,
He had
you
to
know
use
what you know.
He had to use an extension cord from, thank you, not the real Hobson. He had to use an extension cord from the neighbors to film it. Isn't it beautiful how he literally has the story of, he didn't rely on his parents. He didn't rely on anybody. He really put in the work.
That's right. Tom MacDonald used what he had.
He used what he had.
And I'm so glad for Nova. I want to give a shout out to Nova for sending. Can I give a shout out to all women in the chat group right now who love their men, who love their husband, who know the value of lifting them up, right? For being supportive and caring. I want to say shout out to you and say thank you. Don't let your husband's dream die, especially when he's doing the right thing. Be there for him. And I want to shout out to the husband, by the way, for those of you who loves your wife, for those of you who stand by their side, for those of you who are supporting your children, shout out to you. Do what you do. We love you. This is what the world needs now. And the change that takes place in our world starts within the home. Families like you who are standing for what is right, who are supporting and loving one another within the home, that's what branches out into the world and makes a world of a difference.
This is a line of Tom's by Veritas. It says, I get offended by people getting offended by me taking offense.
I love it, Veritas.
Chele, she said there were no white people in Tom's neighborhood, which I do remember him saying that. Everyone he showed it to was black. He says that before his shoot for White Boys.
Amazing.
I'm Spanish. My English is very bad. Tom is a genius. Yes, he is, Pablo.
Yes, he is.
That's
great English, by the way.
Chele says, the people who thought he was racist for White Boy didn't listen to the whole song. They got offended by the name. Oh, isn't that true?
Isn't that a mess?
So judging a book by its cover. Let's get to the substance. Open the page. Flip it.
Context.
And that's the people who thought So the people who thought he was racist for white boy didn't listen to the whole thing. They got offended by the name and the first verse, which was supposed to be that way. Mm-hmm. Hey, Amanda Crespo. Shout out to the good woman. Oh, yes. Yeah. Without my wife, who knows where I'd be? Amen. Amen, KB Goes Live. Right. Please don't take what people that do these, who is Tom MacDonald for fact. They have no idea. They are gathering facts that are not really facts. 424, Stormy Girl. Please don't take what these people that do these, who is Tom MacDonald for fact. They have no idea. They're gathering facts that are not really facts. Here we go. And that's what the whole point is. They're gathering facts off of bits and pieces, and they're not really putting the whole context of what he's trying to say, and they're not putting his message out there. That's right. They're just putting their perspective, not based on really hearing. There's one thing to hear someone, and then there's another thing to listen to somebody. That's right. So listening it's a gift, it's an art.
It is
sometimes
a gift.
You can hear, you just hear what's happening, you say, oh, I heard that. Yeah. No, but when you listen and you process and you digest what someone's saying and you really take time to think about it, then you might have a different perspective and a different look. But then that involves going into yourself. That's right. And fighting those biases and stereotypes that we all have growing up, because we have different life experiences.
And sometimes we have to learn how to listen to learn and to understand. Oftentimes what we do, we listen to speak back and to fight back or to contradict, and that's not how it's supposed to be. So
Ryan
we have to learn how to do it correctly.
Yes, amen. Sorry. This is fire. Keep what you're doing. New sub for both of you. You guys rock. Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, glad
Hog
you're here,
from
Ryan.
Hawaii. I'm trying to go to Hawaii. That's Jason McCall. Thank you.
Must be nice over there.
Yeah. What's the weather like? Tell us the degrees right now. Put it in the chat. It's nice over here in PA too.
Very nice.
Margaret, yes. Judging the engine by its paint job. I remember that song. Woo! I got hyped for that one. What song is that from? Tell me.
Which one? Judging the engine. Wasn't that canceled?
Mr. E. Where are we skipping? What are you saying, Mr. E?
Did we skip
At Mike the Dad Crosby, I just keep waiting for the go-ahead from Pastor J. He gives the ultimate decision. What are we going ahead about? Where's Mr. E at? I'm looking for your comments. Mr. E. Sorry, Mr. E.
Put it back
on. I guess my suggestion isn't too popular. Everyone else have ideas? Come on, Mr. E. Sorry. Say it again. Put it in the chat again.
Put it in the chat. In the meantime, we'll keep talking, okay? Roque. Mainstream media makes more money twisting things to cause drama.
Yep, of course. Yes, they do. And so conflict is good for financial gain, too. Right? So people do understand that.
Oh, the song that you quoted from, that was This House.
Oh, yes, This house. I built this house. I won't say the word. Oh, man, that was the fire song right there. Throw some fire bombs in there for I built this house.
Yeah, that was a really nice song.
That one, I just want to, woo.
Yeah, that was fire. This house, firebomb for this house, and we appreciate the content of that. You know, that quotation you guys put up there, very well.
Yeah, done. Powerful. Oh, man, I love that song. That was powerful.
Praise God. All right, guys.
Okay, we're going to keep going.
We keep reading the chat, and we'll pause if we have to.
This song would also fail to chart, but as the songs kept releasing, the numbers just kept growing. With the success of his recent releases, Tom could feel the pressure building, but instead of folding, he would drop another song, this time taking shots at the people who seemed to have a problem with his lyrical content. The song was titled Everybody Hates Me. In the video, Tom makes an appearance in peak leggings, a bulletproof vest, and a red ski mask. It was at this point that I think Tom realized the best way to respond to the internet was with a meme, and that is what he would accomplish with this video. Tom knew being as ridiculous as possible would only help to build his profile, and to everyone's surprise, the next song Tom dropped wasn't taking aim at anyone. Instead, it was a very introspective look into Tom's life. The song was titled I Wish, and Tom would use the moment to collaborate with his newly found fans, starting the I Wish challenge, where he asked his fans to write down things they wished, pose with it on camera, and send him the video. Wow. The idea received a lot of praise from his...
Wow, that's powerful. Quickly, I want to acknowledge you, Mike Todd Crosby here, from Mr. E, calling your followers Last Supper crew.
I like that. I love it.
LSC.
I like it. Listen, guys, put a thumbs up in if we're all, because you're all it. You're our people here. So if you like that, drop your suggestions, because someone did ask what we should be calling our crew here, and we're all together. I don't consider it a following type of thing. I feel.
I think we can definitely use that title.
Okay, Red XD. Tell me about those faces.
What's going on, Red XD?
Help me understand.
It looks like he has to use the bathroom or something. That's what I would think.
Stop it.
Just playing.
Tell us what
Andrea,
it really is.
you
Red
can
XD.
watch Fake Fans and My Fans. Yeah, we need to watch My Fans together. Actually, it's very powerful in connection to what they're talking about here. I want to quickly say.
Let's quickly read. Mr. E said we keep skipping him. Mr. E said other reaction channels have names for their followers. What do you think about calling us the Last Supper crew, LSC and Hog? I like it, but you guys all have to like it too.
Okay.
So thank you, Mike and the Dad Crosby, for your super chat.
LSC and Hog.
Thank
all
you.
Right, that would be great if people give me
LSC for life. I like it.
Last
I like
Supper
it.
crew. Yeah.
I like it.
Last Supper crew. That sounds great. If you want to put an hashtag, create some type of group for that one. Hashtag that for us so we can maybe, we can start using it.
How awesome that Tom MacDonald challenges people to start seeing him. This is what I love about Tom MacDonald. He's not just saying, I'm sorry, I just totally went left. But he's not just saying about his own story. He's making people get in touch with their own story. He wanted people to, the I Wish challenge. Mm-hmm. That is powerful. Yeah. Powerful. Listen, in the chat, tell us your I wish if you're comfortable and vulnerable enough. Do not feel obligated to do so. But what was this challenge again? Can you back it up just a couple seconds so we can hear this again so we can understand what we're about to do? And thank you, Mr. E.
But remember, guys, testimony is coming up in our next live streams. Yeah. So we want to make sure you send us an email of the testimony of how Tom's McDonald music has made an impact in your life. We want to hear
how it challenges your life.
And thank you for those of you who already sent it. So we're saving that. We're gonna read them live in our next live streams. Okay, together with my wife.
Challenge where he asked his fans with his name at anyone. Instead, it was a very introspective look into Tom's life. The song was titled I Wish, and Tom would use the moment to collaborate with his newly found fans, starting the I Wish challenge, where he asked his fans to write down things they wished, pose with it on camera, and send him the video. The idea received a
Powerful. Okay, he's going to talk about the idea. So, if you're comfortable, if you want to send it in with the testimony, or if you want to throw it in the chat, I want to take Tom's challenge and bring it to present time.
That's right.
I wish people could understand how much God loves them. Yeah. That's my I wish. Right. I think if people understood the value and purpose that was on their head, that the divine creator gave to them, I think people would have a peace and a liberty that passes their understanding. Absolutely. And then they would live a life in peace. And instead of, I hate when I see agony. I hate seeing pain. You know, when I was out this weekend, I met someone who had been through a lot, and they had such a lot of painful experiences, and to be able to talk with them and to see them go from a place of where it almost looked like they were just hurting and sad and downtrodden. And as we talked and laughed, to see their soul literally light up. Mm-hmm. That right there, wow, that's what I live for. That's what I live to see. Like, people who are hurting, people who are in pain, to see that there is more, there is a joy, and there is peace just waiting. It's waiting, and it's there. And I know we all got to go through stuff. Yes, Everyone has to have their story. There's no perfect person but Jesus Christ, right? But it's like seeing that, I just wish I could tell the whole world about how much they are valued, there's purpose in their life, and that they have they're loved. They're loved so much by their divine creator. So that's my I wish.
You know, guys, Tom knows how to get in touch to the heart of his fans. Yeah. He loves his fans. To me, that's very different. A lot of artists, they talk, but they don't really connect with their friends. You know, Tom, you can reach him right now. We can go on Discord right now and send Tom a message. You know, it's so reachable. You know what I'm saying? So to me,
and he made that clear from the beginning.
Yeah.
By signing every copy. Yeah. Right?
That is very intentional, you know. So I really appreciate this about him, man. Very, very, very human. I call this human, man. He knows how to come down to people's level and meet them where they are. That's very attractive.
Okay, James Maxwell said, I wish I had not been a little red-haired boy that was picked on. Oh. Okay. I wish I had not been a little red-haired boy that was picked on all day, every day at school. Bullying was big for me. That was painful.
Sorry, James. I went through it myself, too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Especially being a Haitian born and not speaking English and stuff was rough.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you for being so vulnerable there. I went to school. I remember being called horse and pimple face, and I was one of like 4 black kids there, and it was just a tough experience not fitting in there. And then when I went to the all black school, I didn't fit in there. So I was just stuck between this wedge of like, okay, what am I? Like who, you know, and I get that. So
you get it.
Everyone's story is different. So I don't fully understand yours, but thank you for sharing. It goes deeper, the main core. Here we go. Nishki, I wish more people would see people's hearts instead of judging their appearance, struggles, or beliefs. Thank you for being that example. Thank you. Myself, Jason says, myself would not make a wish. I am who I am from my life experiences. Pessimistic said, I hold the lamp in the darkness, but there the light that I needed to see the road that walked in between the angels and the demons. Mike and the Dad Crosby, I wish I had spoken up about the idiocracy and hypocrisy before this pandemic. KBgoeslive, I wish there were more people like y'all in the world. Thank you. Thank you, Demi Katz. I see you have to leave. I thank you, everyone. I wish I didn't have this phobia. So I can't even say that word.
Dysenphobia?
I
need to look that
There's
up.
more. I wish, not the real Hobson. I wish that people would treat other people. You want to look up the word? I wish that people would treat other people not by skin color, ethnicity, or where they're from, but treat them as fellow human beings. This world is such a dark place. We need light. We need some light. Yeah, there's so many.
What's the word?
P-I-S-N. P-I-S-A-N-T. Throphobia. Thropia.
T-H.
Got it. Blue-eyed panda. Give us some wisdom there on your I wish statement. John Eccles, I wish that good would come from every struggle.
Okay. Yeah, this phobia. Okay, it's a phobia of getting hurt by someone in romantic relationship.
That is a fear, especially if you just, because of,
Thank
especially
you for that
seeing
word.
The relationships that are out here now and seeing the ones that we see on TV and stuff, you don't see them lasting. You see a lot of negative, a lot of this one is together, then they broke up, and here's who we saw him with. And so the beauty of relationship has been degraded so much through the media, through social avenues, through everything. So, yeah, so let's, I wish I wasn't angry. Amanda. So I'm glad we're sharing our I wish. Thank you, everyone, for being vulnerable. And know that these I wish statements can become concrete statements of what you've overcome.
It's a source of healing, guys, when we
It
start
is.
talking
That's
about
when we
this.
start. You start to expose yourself to yourself. And when you share with others who are like-minded and not going to judge you and not going to put you down, it's a start of healing. Or it's just a part of the journey of healing. You may have started already, especially if you've been listening to Tom MacDonald, right? So
a lot of praise from his ever-growing fan base, and that would successfully capture the minds of even more people with the release of this song. With an even bigger audience than ever, Tom released a song titled Straight White Male, where again, just like in White Boy, he gives some perspective on what it's like to be a white guy in the modern day society. Like clockwork, the track would attract outrage from critics, but even more curiously, at this point, there was a notable shift in Tom's fan base. The comment sections began to fill up with as much support as it did hate, and it seemed Tom's message was resonating with a ton of other white guys just like him. Around this time, an internet personality and YouTube rapper named Mac Lethal would send out a tweet that read, "This white dude who raps about how white dudes are super oppressed is garbage. I don't know his name. I'm not gonna learn it. His bars are fucking awful and he could shove his entire low-rent aesthetic up his ass." Tom would find the tweet and without hesitation would reply with, "You spell I haven't been relevant in years and I'm super fucking jealous? Wrong, bro. I've sold out your city twice. Maybe you can open next time, referring to his tour dates. Tom would then post this tweet to Facebook asking his fans if he should drop a diss song. Mac Lethal would try to walk back his comments, but the very next day, Tom would upload a video to his channel titled Lethal Injection, where he would take shots at the YouTube rapper, pointing out Mac's prior drug addiction and infidelities. Mac would take a few days to respond, but after 4 days, he would upload his own response titled Single White Female. At the time, Mac Lethal had more subscribers than Tom, and arguably was the bigger personality of the two. So the response only served to open the door for Tom to grab some of Mac's fans. While Mac thought he was dominating the beef, Tom was in the background waiting. 2 days after Mac Lethal dropped his diss song, Tom dropped another song titled Mac Lethal Sucks. Tom would rap for about 4 minutes straight, ripping into Mac Lethal, and Mac wouldn't respond after this diss. But in the end, it was a win for both artists, and it was pretty entertaining to watch. This wouldn't be the peak of the controversy mountain for Tom though. From here, he would go on to drop a song titled If I Was Black, where he would superimpose his face onto the body of a black man, and he recited lyrics like, if I was black, I probably wouldn't fuck with anyone who's white, because that slavery shit would honestly always be on my mind. And the message had a mixed reaction. At this point, Tom already had built a pretty diehard fan base that was supporting his career. The opposing side accused Tom of being racist for speaking about black issues when he didn't grow up in that type of environment. They were pushing the narrative that he couldn't possibly understand the problems of black people in America, being that he is a white man from Canada. But Tom would push through the backlash, proving again how resilient he can be. He would drop another string of records addressing the issues and even making a rock song called Ashes in the process, but practically avoided the controversy along the way. But it wouldn't be long, and Tom would be right back at it with his old shenanigans. He would drop a song titled Clone Rappers, where he would push the conspiracy that several popular rappers had been cloned and that the industry was using these clones to control people and push narratives. And this was in 2019, when cancel culture was really weighing in on the conspiracy crowd. So as usual, it created some backlash. The whole time this is happening, Tom's numbers, they just continue to rise at an astronomical rate. In 2020, when the world was going into lockdown, Tom would continue to drop controversial songs centered around politics, conspiracy theories, and race. Songs like No Lives Matter, People So Stupid, this one that I won't name because of YouTube, and White Trash. But in 2021, he would drop a video for a song titled Fake Woke. In the song, he would use a popular tagline often said,
I want to pause here to say something very quickly. Tom is a man of opportunity. He knows when to put certain music at certain times based on the genetic or the demographic or the feeling of our culture. He capitalizes on that and uses it to his advantage to promote his stuff. Very well done, guys. You got to pay attention to this. This is a really good way to grow as an individual.
I want to say thank you to everyone who's responding to each other in the comment section here, because we're watching. I'm watching for the first time, and I can't comment to everybody, but this is what it is. Like, this is where the conversation is being had, and people are starting to be able to open up and to share, or they just are able to in this platform, and that's what we want.
That's right.
We want people to open up and to share. Some of you heard a little piece of my testimony. We've all got a testimony. We all have a story to share. We all have an I wish.
That's right.
We all have something that we would like to see changed within ourselves or within ourselves, right? So this is a time to, and to encourage each other. Don't be scared. Don't have fear. It's going to be a painful process for some of us and many of us, but it's part of a growth. That, you know, it's a beautiful thing.
The growth mindset.
Yeah, the growth mindset. So yeah, and I appreciate Tom MacDonald for this. He didn't give up in the name of, in the voice of conflict and controversy. He understands what he was supposed to deliver, and he's going to deliver at all costs.
Somebody said in the chat box, Tom got, what was it said that Mikey got hit by a Mack truck. Joy, Hildebrand.
I know, but then I did hear that he was upset about that diss album, right? Because
he wasn't happy.
His humanity,
he felt like he destroyed
his
Mac
compassion.
Yeah,
his compassion came back out, right?
Yeah.
So like then, so sometimes we do make decisions that we look back later and we say, that wasn't the best. But you know, when you get hype in the moment, you just start going in something. And so we got pause.
Sometimes you gotta stand your ground, man.
Pause. Yeah, depending on the situation. But he felt bad about it, so he knew that wasn't a ground that he needed to stand in. So it's very important for us to be conscious of what battles we choose to fight.
That's right.
Every battle that we're faced with, sometimes they're just distractions. So you have to understand that while we're walking into our purpose, a lot of distractions will come across the way, and that's one thing that he felt like it was. It had a positive outcome. Like it said, he ended up getting a lot more subscribers and viewers and all of that, but it doesn't mean the same people couldn't have come from a different means where he didn't have to put someone else down.
That's right.
And he understood that, and this is why he shared that he wasn't proud of those diss records.
Absolutely.
And you got to give that. Integrity is powerful, man.
You gotta give that to him.
Got to give that to him.
Just for being human, to know when you did wrong, to own up to it, and it shows the.
He hated how the diss track. Thank you. He hated how the diss track made him feel, but it's still a hog favorite, right? So it's just like, he hated how that made him feel because he understood. When anything violates your peace within yourself, when you start acting out of character and you start to feel that, really pause and process and give out that apology that you need. Make those comments that you need to make because you don't know how that was probably healing for Mac as well.
That's right.
Because all that stuff, people don't. We are made to love. We are made to nurture each other and to grow each other. And so while he's bringing enlightenment, he's not trying to go down that path. And so we get distracted sometimes by things on our journey. So it's just very important to pay close attention when you're walking in your purpose. Whoa, am I supposed to respond to this? Is this something I'm supposed to give my attention to, or is this a distraction?
Listen to that. All right. Not the real Hobson. You said he has since reached out to Maclito and they're reconciled with him.
That's what a real man does.
That is what a real man does. So I appreciate that. Like I love the beauty of forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's one thing that we get into arguments and we argue with each other, but when it's time to make up, it's such a beautiful thing, man. That's a good way to kick the devil out the house, by the way, guys, is to forgive one another. So I appreciate
Even Tom and Adam started with beef, and they're now brothers.
They're now brothers, and now they have an album out together, right?
So here's what we have to understand, too. A lot of times, the enemy will see because the enemy knows us more. He understands us more. So God understands us, the enemy understands us, and then we have a very limited and today understanding of ourselves. Or not just today, but we have a very limited understanding. So when we understand the enemy sees what we don't see because he understands the power of God because he used to live in heaven. So he understands what God is capable of doing. So when he sees that, he tries to throw in wedges and divisions, right? For people who are supposed to come together for the greater good, but he tries to cut that off before it can happen.
That's right.
So you have to be careful and really take time to see, like, is this what I'm supposed to be? Like, know that when you're going out for the good, distractions are going to come in to try to break apart and separate those people, circumstances, and situations that will actually make a situation better.
Praise the Lord.
Right?
That's right.
The enemy knows, but God is greater.
Greater
is he that is in me, which is God, than he that is in the world, which is the enemy.
That's right.
Led by right-wing talk show host Ben Shapiro, facts don't care about feelings. And the general public would view this as Tom taking a side on the political spectrum, and Tom would just let the world think what it wanted. Tom would use the buzz from all of his controversies to make a collab album with his longtime friend and fellow artist Brandon Hart, and Nova was even on a few of the records. Tom's next move, though, would show the world exactly how much influence he had accumulated over the last 2 years when he purchased an Eminem beat that was being sold as an NFT for $100,000. Tom would take the beat and write a song called Dear Slim. In the song, Tom would take the role of Stan and write a letter to M. He was paying homage and acknowledging the differences between him and Eminem, and that would gain the respect of a lot of M fans, again, boosting his numbers even higher. Tom would go right back to his controversial topics, covering more politics and conspiracies and race with songs like Snowflakes, America, Brainwashed, New World Order, and White Boys. It seems that Tom has really found the lane that he thrives in the most and doesn't really seem to mind the controversy around his name. During the recording and release of all of these records, Tom would go on several small tours, selling out shows the whole way, and over the last 3 years, he has built a fan base that is massive. As of this recording, Tom MacDonald has over 2.5 million YouTube subscribers and 1.5 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and we're not taking into account any of the physical CDs that he sold or any of the other streaming platforms like Tidal, Apple, and Pandora that he's collecting money from. I actually want to take a moment and dig deeper into the numbers behind Tom MacDonald to put into perspective exactly how profitable Tom's career has been. On YouTube alone, Tom MacDonald has over 771 million views. Now, YouTube will pay Tom every time his video is played, and they add this up by the thousand. On YouTube, this is called a mil. The average rate of pay on a YouTube music channel is about $5 per mil, and that's the amount the creator would make per 1,000 views. So, to find out a rough estimate of how much money Tom has made on YouTube alone, we would need to take 771 million and divide it by 1,000, which is 771,000. You would then take this number and times it by the $5 he makes per 1,000, giving you a total of $3,875,000 roughly that Tom has made on YouTube alone. That's not including what he makes from the other streaming services, tours, and physical CDs. All of this becomes more impressive, coupled with the fact that Tom is 100% independent and owns all the rights to all of his music. So that's all his money. There is no label involved. The average salary in America is $53,383. If Tom took every YouTube dollar and put it into a dividend-paying index fund on the stock market that paid out only a 2% dividend, he could live the rest of his life making $77,500 every single year and never touch the original $3.8 million.
Wow.
Meaning he could live with the wage above the average American and never work another day for the rest of his life.
Wow. That was a question I had. Does YouTube take a cut? That
Yes,
was I said
does.
Christy B said how much did YouTube get?
Yeah, YouTube does get a cut. It's pretty high. It's like about 30%. So we know.
But still, he's still
It's still pretty
he's
nice.
still making, and that's the beauty of it, because what he's putting out is worth that and more.
That's
Breaking chains in people's lives.
Remember, it's
There's
more.
so
Yeah,
many
I was
people
gonna say
who
it's
have,
more. It's more about. It's more. It's more than
but
money, guys.
it's nice to know and to see that where he started from, having nothing in a rat-infested, roach-infested house.
There we go.
Right? Not relying on other people. He was able to come up. He was able to make a living
Rise above.
for himself.
That's right.
And he's speaking truth. And this is a valuable, it's an important, it's an influential field that he's in.
That's right. Very smart guy. Man.
That would be after the split.
Mm.
Got it. Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So he did all that math.
Thank you for those numbers, KB.
Should have clarified that.
Right.
Thank you, KB.
Yeah.
For the rest of his life.
Okay. Mike and the Dad Crosby. At Super Chats, it's around 30%, but not sure for music videos.
Oh, got it.
We're almost through it, guys. The imagery, right? It's power.
Tom MacDonald is a Canadian turned American rapper who grew up with all the support he could ever need. As a child, he was nurtured and his dreams never felt far away. As a teenager, Tom would see himself fall headfirst into the world of wrestling, but that dream would fall apart. So Tom would turn his eyes towards music and try his hand at making rock, but that also fell apart. But Tom was resilient. As an adult, Tom would find himself suffering from a mental health issue that plagued him and allowed bad decisions to bring him all the way down to rock bottom. Tom looked around at the world around him and felt the need to give his input, and that decision would ultimately change his life. Tom applied himself and was able to turn a bad situation into a fortune. Whether or not you agree with Tom MacDonald's message or disagree, one thing is for sure. He is a force to be reckoned with in the world of hip-hop, and he holds a massive amount of influence over his fans. Not everybody will like the delivery of the message or the perspective offered, and many have said that what Tom MacDonald talks about is offensive, and it's because he hasn't experienced it from any other perspective. And while that may be true, if there is any point of view that he can offer that should still be valid, it's his own. Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but remember that people's opinions will change over time. We evolve as humans. You may not agree with the message today, but you might tomorrow. And Tom may not agree with the world today, but he might tomorrow. In the end, Tom has had a phenomenal career that any rapper would dream of having, and has made enough money to retire for the rest of his life. He could stop now and go kick it on a beach somewhere and just chill. But I don't think Tom MacDonald has hit the end of the road. Over the last few years, he has been perfecting his craft, from the topics to the melodies to the beats and the message. If he keeps going, the only way to maintain the attention will be to evolve it and re-perfect it again and again and again. Even if you don't like Tom MacDonald, it will be hard to avoid him as long as he knows how to continue to provoke emotions in people. I think that as long as politics exists, Tom MacDonald will exist. And if it's not Tom MacDonald, it'll be another rapper just like Tom MacDonald. But right now, Tom is having his moment in the spotlight. And as time goes on, the content will either work for or against him. Anyways, that's it for the video, guys. If you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload. Leave me a comment down below. What do you think about Tom MacDonald? Do you like Tom MacDonald? Do you hate Tom MacDonald? Do you think that Tom MacDonald has staying power, or do you think he's a flash in the pan? I would love to hear y'all's opinions. Anyways, it was fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Throw fire in the chat room.
Can get some fire in the chat room. KB, Tom MacDonald.
Live. That was an awesome documentary. I
don't just give you a thumbs up. I'm subscribing, my friend. And I'm putting everything on. Good job, my man. Hard work pays off.
I didn't know Tom MacDonald. I feel so much closer to Tom MacDonald, right?
Yeah.
He's like my friend in my head. I told you I have friends in my head that I'm just like, I would be friends with him. There's some other people in the world who I feel like I just connect with them. And even though we've never met, never made eye contact, may never meet.
Yeah.
But I think the most valuable lesson that I learned from him watching this is his persistence and his desire not to just live a basic life. He knew he had purpose, and he was driven. He had a purpose. He has a purpose-driven life, and he is not going to sit back and back down no matter what comes at him.
Yes.
Wow.
That was amazing.
That takes courage.
The first thing that I've learned from that video, guys, was the importance of family support. Like going from parents to his girl, and also like just like my wife said, Brandon Hart intervention, huge. Like and again, going back to what my wife is saying here is just the idea of continue to push forward, to be persistent, resilient, a go-getter, having the courage to not give up. I really appreciate this. I love the content, and I love how it was put together. 3
albums before his first hit song. Lost everything, half a cigarette left. Pen and a notepad, went out, wrote, and believed in what he was inspired to do.
That's right. That's right.
That is powerful.
Very powerful.
So how many times do we go through something and we figure, oh, it's not working, so I'm just going to end it. Or we don't take that start. Just take that first step. The foundation will be laid in front of you. The headlights are on. Sometimes you got to put on the high beams because you just can't see, right? It's starting to look a little too dark out there. But you just got to keep pushing. Keep moving forward.
Don't quit.
Keep moving forward.
Don't quit.
I'm friends with Nova in my head, right? I know. I'm like, I want to be that kind of down.
I feel like I know so much about Tom now that if I meet him anywhere, we can have a serious talk about anything in his life. Like, Thank you so much, KB. You really did a great job with that, man.
And I love that I had reacted to some of the songs before I saw the documentary.
Yes.
Because I was able to then identify with what he was saying, what you had shared in the in the documentary, because I understood where Tom was coming from to the extent of what I've already received and seen through his music. Wow. So that was powerful too.
Yeah. Wow.
Man, that was awesome. That was
clap.
great.
You get a clap.
Yes.
You get some amens. You get some fireballs.
Yes, that was
Thank you.
awesome.
Guys, we have to move on now to Trying to Kill Me by Tom. Okay, we have a little bit of time to spare. We're going to try to